Welcome to She's Got Guts, where functional nutrition meets ancient wisdom to bring you grounded insights and practical tools for your wellness journey. Join Laura, licensed Eastern medicine practitioner and wellness wizard, and Molly, registered dietitian and gut health expert, as they unpack trends, tackle bloating, balance hormones, and help you thrive in modern womanhood without completely frickin' losing your mind. Let's do this. Today, we welcome fitness coach, professional speaker, and author of Elements of Aging Well. She's the queen of sparking strength and joy at any age and believes that aging is inevitable, but decay is optional. I love this. Welcome, Janet McConnell.
We're so glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Molly and Laura. It's really great to be here. I'm looking forward to digging into all things empowerment.
Yeah.
So are we.
Well, tell us how you got to this stage of full empowerment.
It's kind of an interesting winding road. I'm sure your listeners can relate. Sometimes we find ourselves in a place we didn't start out going to. So
Yeah.
I didn't expect a health crisis in my mid 40s to redefine the entire course of my life. And at that point, I thought I had a pretty good handle on things. I had family, marriage, going great, work, responsibilities. But underneath, I was slowly becoming depleted, overextended. I ignored the warning signs my body was trying to send to me, and everything came crashing down at age 46. I went to the doctor for a checkup, and all my numbers were in the red zone. It was like
Boy,
out of
wow.
nowhere, it felt like. And on top of that, I was borderline obese. And I had always been a little athlete as a young woman. And so how did I get from that to this? I had to face a choice. I had to surrender to, oh, well, I guess I'm getting older and this is what happens, and just decline or fight. I chose to fight.
Yeah.
And so my doctor slid the prescriptions across the desk at me. And I said, no, give me 6 months. Give me 6 months to pull it together. I promise I'll come back, take all the same tests again. And if I'm still in the red, keep those prescriptions. I'll take them then, but I'm not going to take them right now. I went out to my car and had a meltdown.
Yeah.
Because I realized
Necessary meltdown.
I was like, first of all, it was such a shock to get this news that I had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, and I was like, 35% body fat. This is what he literally said to me, you guys. He said, I don't know what's going on with you, Janet, but you have the signs of early heart disease.
Ooh.
I was 46.
Yeah.
I mean, in all fairness, I had never set foot in a gym. I had always just been a natural athlete and just was always really healthy growing up. So it took a long time to not do anything to arrive at that place.
Yeah.
So I sat there in my car and realized, first of all, I was really shocked. And the other thing I realized was I didn't have a clue what I was going to do to meet this imperative in 6 months, right? I went back to my office and I talked to my boss about it. And she said, well, I don't know. You're fine, I'm sure. I've got a trainer. Why don't you just sign up with my trainer? He's really good. You'll like him. He'll make it fun. And that'll be some place to start. I thought,
Great.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
one of your
there I-
angels on your path so far.
Yeah, right. So there I was in the gym, 5 a.m., 3 days a week with this trainer because he was very much in demand. That was the only time available. So it was a little bit insane, but it was smart because it was before the day got started. So nobody was awake when I was at the gym. Nobody could get in the way. So
Great.
this choice to fight led me to the gym. And this is where I began this slow, humbling journey of rebuilding my strength. At first, every workout felt impossible, but I discovered something unexpected, that the more I leaned into what was difficult, what most people avoid doing, the stronger I became. not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. I got stronger and stronger because I was facing challenge. I was doing something difficult. And, I had my trainer to keep me safe. So as you can see, I didn't set out to become a competitive bodybuilder. But once I stepped onto that path, I was realizing it was less about trophies and more about transformation.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
I love
competed.
that you just said, I chose to fight and I ended up in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like that's the place, that's like the real world fighting. That's like the ring where you put up your dukes, right?
Yeah. You're like, fine, this is where I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I competed in the figure and women's physique divisions in my 50s and my 60s. Wasn't about vanity, but it was about proving that reinvention is always available, no matter what your
Yeah.
age. Each time I trained, I was reminded that this growth wasn't to live on easy street. It hides the hard path and the path that people shy away from because it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, and a little intimidating. So
Yeah.
saying yes to hard things is the answer. It's like what I say, easy is the enemy, challenge is the cure. So today I am 2 months away from turning 70. I'm stronger,
Ooh.
clearer, more energized than I was decades ago. Not because
Wow.
life suddenly became easy.
Yeah.
I mean, turning 70 is a little bit, the number looks scary, but I feel great.
Yes.
That's
well,
amazing.
and for you listeners that do not see Janet right now, she is vibrant. Vibrant. Rosy cheeks, big smile, beautiful long hair, just living it. You got a lot of life
Yeah.
in you, and it's inspiring. You
It
do not
really
look
is.
like you're
Thank you.
almost 70, just FYI.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Thank
That's
you.
for sure.
Wow, it's a part of taking care of yourself that kind of shows in the, kind of like in between the lines,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Wow,
I'm
that's
dying to
incredible.
know what happened in 6 months. What did you do? What happened?
Okay. 6 months later, I went back to the doctor, and this is I only strength trained, bodybuilding
That
strength
was
trained.
it.
I didn't do anything with my diet at all. I was still eating yogurt covered pretzels that were in the console of my car. I was still eating the dinner rolls and the popcorn at the movies and everything. And I had lost 35 pounds just from exercising.
Great.
So the
That's
reason
a
this
really
is
good message.
Yeah.
this is important
Amazing
because
message.
sometimes if you're listening to this and you're sitting there going, I have everything to do and I don't know where to start, and it's
Yeah.
too big, it's too much. You just do one thing. Just focus on one thing long enough, give it a chance to work, be consistent.
Yeah.
And then you get that mastered. And then you go, okay, I got that. I'm going to keep doing that. Okay, what else? What else? And just keep adding to it, and don't overwhelm yourself. So I literally did nothing but train for 6 months, and I got that far. And so I went to the doctor, did the blood test, weighed and everything. Everything was back in the range of
Yeah.
green, I guess, if you're going to give it colors. But
Yeah.
I was no longer borderline obese. I was still a little fluffy,
Sure.
but I was so much better. And then that I wasn't a bodybuilding competitor yet. So I got back to the gym after that. It's like, whew, dodge that bullet. Now what? And then I realized that I didn't have a big goal. The big goal was to make my doctor happy.
Sure.
And here I was with a healthier body. And I thought, I'm not going to stop doing this, but I need something to grab onto. And about a week later, these two ladies showed up in the gym. They were a little younger than me, but they were ripped. They looked amazing in that beautiful way where they looked like very feminine, but powerful with
Ooh,
carved
yes.
muscles and like the muscles defined in their shoulders and their legs. And I just gasped. It was like, oh my gosh, they must be so strong. And then they were training with another trainer at the same gym. So they were nearby and I could kind of spy on them. They were lifting the same weights I was lifting.
That's what I'm talking about, Janet.
They weren't stronger than me, you guys.
That's
And
amazing.
so I said to my trainer, why do they look like that? And
Yeah.
I look like this when we're doing the same work. And he said,
Uh-oh.
oh, Janet, those are bodybuilding competitors and they're 5 weeks out from the stage. So they have to eat strategically. And I said, what does that mean? Because all that's keeping me from that is what I'm putting in my mouth. I'm all ears because now
Yeah.
I didn't have to worry about, just getting strong and getting in shape physically. I could do that. I already loved it. I enjoyed it. That he said, oh, it's really hard. It's you wouldn't like it. Most people quit. I was like,
You're
game
like,
on.
that's all I needed to hear. Tell me I
Right.
can't.
Right.
You just incentivized me.
Oh.
So
Wow.
a year later, I was on my first stage.
Oh, how
Wow.
cool is that?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
one of the things that people always say to me is, I know that I should, or I really want to start to get more physical, start to get more in shape, but I just don't have the motivation. And so I explain to them, of course, that motivation is not something that we really ever had, and it's not something that we're certainly going to have now. But how do you, and I say it nicer than that, but how do you find that on those days that, especially at the beginning, that you didn't want to go at 5 in the morning and, at 6 p.m. you start talking yourself out of it like, oh, well, I feel a little tweak in my shoulder. So maybe like, how did you get over that initial period before you built the habit and the passion for it?
Oh, that's a really great question. I think the two things. One is that when you make a commitment with money, so I'd already paid my
Yeah.
trainer, so it would be money wasted. But that's
Right.
material. That's material.
Yeah.
We've all wasted money here and there. The other part, though, was fear. Fear was my motivator. Seeing
Huh.
my doctor's face, and he kind of lowered his glasses and looked at me as he handed those papers across the desk. I saw that and I was like, no, 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 no. Yeah. So it was partly fear, partly the financial commitment. So that's what commitment is. I always think of motivation is terrible because it comes and goes. It's like
Yeah.
that fair weather friend. As soon as you need help, they're off doing something. You need that commitment. And my metaphor that I've always come back to for commitment, everybody can relate to this. You're sitting in an airplane on the tarmac and it's your turn to take off. And everybody's just kind of that moment before you hear the engines rev up and you're just sitting there. Everybody is fussing and sitting there. And then all of a sudden you feel that thrust and you feel the plane pushing forward. And then you're going faster and faster and faster. And then when you get to that point where you lift, that's commitment. Everybody on that plane, including the pilots, are committed to getting off the ground. They're not like, well, I don't know, I've got things to do. I'd rather be doing that.
Yeah. I
It's
could
like
go back.
single-minded. That airplane
Yeah.
takes off.
Oh,
And
cool.
I always think of that as all the spirits of everybody on the plane is all thinking one thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
wow.
that has as much to getting the plane off the ground than mechanics,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
I love
that
that.
when you said spirit, Janet, it made me think that money and the fear of shame or whatever. I also think being that just from what you just said, you have a very bright spark about you and recognizing and listening to your body when you recognize that that spark is there. It
Yes, and we
seems like
all have it.
you kind of live that. Like it's all there. Everybody
Yeah.
has it.
Yeah, we all have it. We have to access it. And the idea too, probably the other thing, even though at that moment in my 40s, I wasn't thinking so much then about healthy aging. That started to
Right.
happen in my late 50s where I was like, oh, my parents are passing away. Oh, I'm getting older. And then I would reflect on how they experienced aging and how my friends' parents are experiencing aging. And I came to the conclusion, we always say people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying, but I don't believe that. I think people are more afraid of getting old than they are of dying. Dying,
Right.
fine, it's going to happen, but getting old, oh no, just shoot me.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to be 85. I mean, look at my grandmother. She can barely walk.
Right.
She's miserable.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the fear of getting older is because we see the generation ahead of us who didn't do
Right.
these things. And
Exactly.
we can, and
Mhm.
it's made all the difference if people can understand, what do you want the last decade of your life? Everybody gets one last decade. You don't know exactly when that is, but you get
Mhm.
one last decade. That is it for you. What do you want that to be like? Do you want to be
Yeah.
active? Do you want to be participating in your family's activities? Do you want to be exploring a goal of your own? Like this one lady who I trained who was in her early 80s, and she's like, Antarctica. And
Oh,
so,
nice.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So she, and she wasn't in great physical shape, but she trained and she went to Antarctica and she went to Australia. She was trying to get all 7 continents, right? And she had the
Mm.
2 left. She had Antarctica and Australia. And when she went to Australia, she wanted to swim on the Great Barrier Reef, scuba
Mhm.
dive. She
Amazing.
wanted to scuba
Wow.
dive. And she was 83. So
Yes.
she got certified. I was like, oh, she's serious. She did that on her own. And then, so she said, I need help because the tanks are so heavy on land, on the boat, on the deck. I can't
Yeah.
haul them myself. And I'm sick of asking for help. When I'm in the water, I'm fine because it's buoyant,
Mhm.
but and so we trained for 6 months before she went on this trip, dragging sandbags and crawling over walls and things that she would have to be, and ladders, going up the rickety ladder of the boat, all those
Mhm.
life skills that she would need on the scuba boat. So
Yeah.
she went. So I have these lovely pictures of an 83-year-old woman swimming underwater with the big fishes in her mask and her tanks, waving at the camera.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I
That
love
is so
that.
cool.
Yeah. That is amazing. And that inspires me because this client was, 20 years older than me at the time. So
Right.
I was like, okay, that's the way I want to go.
Uh-huh.
I
Right.
don't want to, you pick your route. And I could share this right now. I was listening to a podcast a week ago and the words are still ringing in my ears. It was really sobering because whatever it is you come to this life to accomplish, probably your biggest thing that you're going to accomplish is not going to be before the age of 50. It's probably going to be after because you
Mhm.
bring to bear all of your life experience, your confidence, your strength.
Yeah.
You're free, you have empty nest, you have time again
Right.
Mhm.
from
Right.
Mhm.
and so that's when you have to realize, and this is what they said, your grave does not need your unwritten book.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah.
grave, if you have words that you came here to say to the world,
Mm.
your grave does not need your message left unspoken. It's like, oh my God.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So,
in the middle of book number 2 for you, Janet, I'm sure that was
well,
quite poignant.
that's what got me going because I had started like the first few pages and then I got busy. I thought, oh, this is what always happens. Oh, and life comes in and goes, we'll see how serious you are.
Yeah.
But then I picked it up. So now I'm writing 5 pages every day since then
Okay.
because, yeah, I
And is
don't
your
want it to.
process I want to hear what the book is about, but is your process to self-publish? Is it that you do an outline first? Like, how do you approach it? How do you tackle it? And I think that the same advice could be applied to any goal, right? But
Yes,
this is very
absolutely.
interesting to me personally. So,
Yeah, it's a really good microcosm of how to do anything that's complicated. And, you have to kind of
and
break it
has a long
apart and
reward. Like the
right.
reward is far away.
Yes, yes, right. The lead time is longer. Those
Hate that.
longer things take more patience. And that's
Yeah.
why when you're older, you can do it because you've gathered patience. When we're 20 years
Mm.
old, we want it now. Well, some of us still want that when we're older, but most of us have matured enough to know that, okay, this is going to take a while to
Yeah.
just calm down. So to answer your question, I have found my process. Every writer has their own way, and I've talked to lots of authors. We've shared, what works for you, what works for you. And for me, I have to start out with what really sends me into the stratosphere is having the title, because the title is this thing that is like the engine underneath it that I can always come
Mm.
back to. What am I saying here? I'm saying that. Okay.
Right.
It's like an anchor. And then an outline. so that I can kind of see the beginning, the middle, and the end, so I know where I'm going, but then not to linger on that, which is what I did before I heard that message, is to start. So you don't have to
Yeah.
start with chapter 1. My first book, I started with the last chapter. When I wrote it, I didn't know it was going to be my last chapter, but it became my last chapter because it was very personal. And so it was kind of a nice way to tie everything up at the end. But have an outline so you kind of know your trajectory, what you want to say. It helps to keep that in mind. But then you want to forget about the whole massive thing because that will take you under. Just think about what is the first chapter or the first section going to be about. And some people prefer digital typing. I prefer longhand because I'm a journaler. So you can see I've got, pages and pages. And people say, but why would you do that if you have to do it again but what I do is I just read it. I dictate to a AI or to a tool, and it just creates a transcript for me. And then I put that in my editing tool. And then reading it is good because then I think, oh, I left this thing out. Oh, I need to say that
you can hear
differently.
how it's gonna go. Yeah.
Right.
Instead of just
It's
in your brain,
flow.
you're like listening to it. I like that.
So this early stage is just a dump. There's just, I'm putting all this random thoughts and everything that relate and tell a story. But then when I read it, I'll begin to edit when I hear it. And then, of course, all the grammar and spelling and everything and all that neatness of it. And then I have a couple of trusted friends read it and give me feedback. And these are people that Brene Brown calls your posse, your people that will always fight to the death for you.
Yeah. I can tell you the
They're
truth.
on your side. Yeah, they can tell you the truth because you trust them, because you know they love you.
Yeah.
And so you don't want to hear the truth from someone who doesn't care about you because then you don't know if they're saying it just to be mean or, So, so do that. And then I did self-publishing. So I went through Amazon's KDP program where so I, own it. And what's great about that is that you don't have to follow a publisher's timeline as far as how quickly you write and go on the promotion. You probably in the end will sell more books if you go that way. But if your mission is to your audience is going to buy your book. And the people that I have like over 5,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, they buy all my stuff, because they love me and believe in me and want to hear what I have to say. So
Yeah.
Did I answer the whole question?
Yes. So now tell us elements of aging well. What are they? What kinds of things do you get into in the book? And maybe give us a tip or two that we could take with us?
Yes. I started out thinking about the elements of the earth, wind, fire.
Love that
kind of thing, right? Then I was thinking, how can I make this work? Well, so to back up, I started writing just like this other book. I just started writing. And I realized I was writing about diet and exercise. And I thought, I am so bored right now. I am so bored writing this. And that's not a good sign. Even though my information was spot on, it was boring. And I thought the reason it's boring is because I've read a lot of books like this. And I don't want to write another diet and exercise book. Jane Fonda did a great job.
Right.
Nobody else needs to write one of those. I thought, well,
and she did it with style and grace.
Yeah.
There we go.
And there's been several others that, celebrities who've done a great job of writing a diet and exercise book. But I thought, what can I say as a 65-year-old woman? What do I have to say about health and fitness that a 25-year-old couldn't say? I thought, oh, that's it. That's it. Because the people who are going to read my book are not going to be 20-year-olds. They're going to be 50, 60, 70. And so they have already read all those books too. So what I thought is, okay, what are the attributes that you get when you're older and wiser? And one of them is resilience. I thought, what kind, resilience is so important. So I talked about resilience in the chapter and I called it water. So water is the element of resilience, because you think about how water flows around and through and carves and
Yeah.
keeps going, and
Mhm.
it keeps true to its mission no matter what obstacle is there. And I think that's resilience. And then I have another one about boundaries. And boundaries is earth, the earth element. You stand your ground. And boundaries are really important as we get older. You wouldn't think so, but they are, because family has relied on you to be the provider at home, or, to be the workhorse at work. And so your boundaries are often tied with the other people in the puzzle. But you have to have your own boundaries, because people will come to you and say, what is this, going to the gym stuff? I think I don't want to look like a man. I don't want to be all hard and gnarly. Are you sure? People will come to you with their doubts that
Yeah.
they put on you. And so you have to really be clear on establishing your boundaries. And
Right.
then building good habits, because a lot of times, when you get to midlife, you have to examine your habits and you have to
Mhm.
change them. And you can teach an old dog new tricks. And a good way of looking at it is James Clear's Atomic Habits. He
Mm.
writes
Oh,
in there,
yeah.
and I really ingested his message. And so I talk about how to carve out habits over time. And that's wind, the element of wind.
Oh my
And
gosh, I
then
love this.
fire is an element, and I put that as the heat of movement and fuel of nutrition. So I did one chapter
Mm.
on the general guidelines, just general guidelines of what you should do with nutrition and exercise as you enter your third trimester of life, if you will.
Mhm.
And so fire, water, earth, and wind sounds like earth, wind, and fire. But anyway,
Yeah.
My brain just went there. It was great.
yeah. But I thought, well, as this generation will get it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is
That's
So,
so cool.
wonderful.
and then I just end with a story that what the thing I wrote first, which is the story of this narrow gauge train. I don't know if you've ever been on an antique train. This one was the Durango to Silverton Railroad in Colorado, and it's an old mining train, and it's like over 100 years old, and it runs like it's brand new. And I made
Oh.
that association of this old machine that
Mhm.
it's all of its siblings are in the junkyard or the scrap heap or in a park where kids can climb on a replica. And this train was loved, cared for, maintained,
Mm-hmm.
repaired,
Yeah.
polished, kept in working order. And today, people just stop what they're doing when it goes by. Just like you do when you're driving on the highway and you see a 56 T-Bird in perfect condition. And
Right.
you're
Yeah.
like, oh, the first thing I think is that person loves that car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They love that. It's a labor of love. It's
Mm.
expensive, to do
Mhm.
that. And it's a
Yeah.
labor of love because they love that car. Well, guess what car we're driving? This one. You get
Yeah.
one car, your body, take care of it like a 56 T-Bird or a
Mm-hmm.
narrow gauge train. And so it's kind of like a tribute to the mechanical genius of our past with this mechanical miracle, biomechanical miracle that we live in. Is our body.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I
Amazing.
love that. It just makes me
Yeah.
want to say they don't make things like they used to, because they don't. You can
They don't.
maintain that T-Bird because it was made
Right.
well.
Right.
Yes.
And somebody, probably each owner, took time, and then finally had to move on for whatever reason. But then there's this
Sure.
old dude. Usually it's an old dude driving it too,
Yeah.
because it's the car he wanted when he was in high school or whatever. But
Right.
yeah, so my
Yes.
book is Elements of Aging Well, My Journey So
Oh,
Far.
awesome.
And it
Look
has,
at
and
you
it's,
on there, rock star. Look
yeah,
at your
yeah,
biceps.
yeah. Well, that's one of my,
Yeah.
this was like after one of my shows when I hadn't gotten fluffy again. I don't stay super lean all the time, but I try to get a bunch of pictures in while I still am holding my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
I have a bit of a reflection question for you, Janet. That's also kind of what our listeners can maybe keep in mind.
Okay.
So when you were saying that it was 46 when you hit this, capital T, I'll say, and like, okay, trauma here, time to
Yeah.
reverse and figure out what's going on next.
Yeah.
When you look back, oftentimes we only learn these things in hindsight, right?
Mhm.
When you look back, what would you tell your younger self at that time, or maybe even prior to that? Not necessarily like eat less cheese or, you know what I mean? That sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of our listeners are in that pivotal place where they're trying to harness their best self moving forward while we still have hormones. We're trying to keep our
Right.
bones strong. We're trying to keep our brain
Right.
strong. We're trying to navigate the fucking tornado of
Yes.
perimenopause and menopause in a way that
Yes.
is mindful for the long trajectory. So what do you tell those now that you're kind of quote unquote on the other side, looking fabulous, not calling you old? What would you say to them, to us?
Well, I would
Yeah.
say what I would say to myself, I would say, you're going to have the worst day of your life. It's coming. And sometimes the worst day of your life is actually the day your life begins.
Yeah.
But to everyone, so if you have a bad day, a bad diagnosis, a catastrophic thing,
Yeah.
it's important because it's awful. It's important to let that sink in, but then to pivot to how can I reframe this incident? What I say to myself about it, how do I reframe it to make it into something powerful so that I can be inspired and other people can be inspired? Because you have to reframe negative things into
Yeah.
positive. That's how you take your power back.
Yeah.
And so there's this idea that I've come up with too, that every day you make decisions about what you're going to do or not do. And when you do that, you are casting a vote for the future
Right.
version of yourself. So the question is, who are you voting for? In this political landscape, there's a lot of talk about, who we vote for, but
Yeah.
forget that. Think about yourself. What am I voting for? And also, what happens when you change your body? Before you change your body, you have to change the story you're telling yourself. So it starts inside. I told myself, if I don't do this, I am going in the wrong direction, that I don't want to go this way. So I had to start. And it's built, so strength isn't built on punishment. It's built on purpose, having a purpose.
And acceptance and such. Yeah, we did a podcast once on you can't self-care your way into self-love. And I think that's kind of a nice
That's
theme
great. That is
that
great.
you've actually said today. Like the thing that you
Yeah.
made very clear with your observations about your car metaphor is that someone must really love that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's important in this moment when you are on
Yeah.
these journeys is you have to love yourself. And I keep hearing you say that, but with all these tangible ways. And I think that's really
Right.
cool.
Yeah, if you facing your current situation, whatever it is in your life with yourself, your body, or your circumstances, if you're facing something maybe not great, facing it doesn't make it worse. And avoiding it doesn't make it disappear.
Right.
You have to go into it, And so,
Yeah.
the real change starts with just being honest with ourselves. And that's love. When you tell your friend that you love something really honest, even though it's painful, you're loving them. And it's hard to do because you love them and you don't want them to feel pain, but it doesn't make
Right.
it worse to tell them it's true.
Yeah.
What's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
And loving
yeah.
that hard part. Loving
Yeah.
that part, not just
Yes.
like, oh, I'm navigating this adventure. Not that that's what
Yeah.
you were saying, but it's not just about the journey. It's about like, I
Yeah.
experience this. I can still love me, even though even though my life is fully mine. I'm here because of me.
Right,
Right.
right. And it just helps you kind of muster just enough impulse power to start on your journey, just a little shove so that you can get started. And then you gather speed, you gather support and energy and motivation as you move along. But it usually starts with that great quote about confidence. You don't get confidence from shouting affirmations at yourself in the bathroom mirror. You get confidence from daily stacking up more and more evidence that you are who you say you are.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes you be able to say, okay, this is who I am now. I'm going to do what I do, I'm going to do according to that. This is my identity. I'm going to do that. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that self-talk
So
is so
good.
wonderful when you get to think about your evidence. If you're telling yourself, I can't do this, well, look at the evidence you actually already
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. Right.
It's
Yeah.
funny. You kind of forget that when you're in the tornado,
Right. It helps to have a few placards around your office. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Or
Settle
someone
down.
like you, Janet. If someone's on this
Yes.
adventure and they're like, I need a Janet in my corner, then there you go.
I need to do one of those meditation podcasts where I can just talk in people's ear.
Yeah. There you go. Like an activation,
Right.
motivating them to keep going.
Like
so,
they do with those meditation apps sometimes.
Yes. Yes. If we were to, like, let's say someone in the audience does feel like they're experiencing the midlife unraveling, like you talk about, and they're, starting to notice that some of those markers are going by the wayside, and they're starting to notice that, they don't love their body, or it's not behaving the way that it did when they were younger and could just, not necessarily work as hard. What would you say would be the first step for someone who's experiencing that, or the first few steps that they could try and do at first?
I think taking some kind of physical action before your mind shuts you down,
Right.
like just doing something physical often is a way to rediscover that you have that seed of vitality in you. And it's just enough to get started. And I think that one of the things that I found in doing strength training is that I found as I was doing the exercises, I could feel life surging into me. I could feel it was like a moving meditation that gave me this renewed sense of confidence. It was like being able to rediscover my childhood when I could climb trees and win tetherball games and swim faster than the boys. It was like that, finding that inner strength. It plays out in your body, and it convinces your mind. Your body can convince your mind. And strength training, I know it sounds to some people listening like I don't want to go to the gym. But you can do this at home with dumbbells and bands, or get a trainer so that you're not scared, and have, so you don't feel awkward. The trainer is kind of like your carte blanche to go anywhere in the gym, and so you can feel like you belong. But when you start to feel this transformation that happens through getting stronger and through exercise, so that in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks, you notice, I'm different.
Yeah.
I'm okay. What else? What else can I do? And it just kind of like breathes oxygen into your spirit. And that's one of the things I should mention briefly. We could probably do a whole podcast on this, but one of the things that we women worry about, because women, as we age, we are the most susceptible population demographic for dementia. We are far more susceptible than men. And one of the ways that you can starting, like keep it at bay, keep the wolves at bay, is strength training. And here's why. Because one of the things that happens in your body when you flex and squeeze and stretch the large muscles, your legs, the fronts and backs of your legs, your glutes, you produce this chemical that we produce a lot when we're young. And then it goes kind of by the wayside after we reach 35, it starts to diminish. So by the time we're 45 or 50, it's definitely diminished. And we just start losing muscle just because of the aging process. But if you can lift to gain muscle, what that does is it produces BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. And we can produce it, and your large muscles produce it when you exercise. Goes up into your brain and feeds and repairs your neurons all over your body. But guess where most of them are? Is in your head. And
Right.
so you can rewire and retrain your brain, so much so that research has come out in the last 5 years to say strength training is one of the most powerful ways to push back against dementia. It's not a panacea, but they
Mhm.
have taken people with Parkinson's and MS and early stage Alzheimer's and put them through exercise with strength training, and they have slowed down their symptoms down to a crawl.
Wow.
So imagine what you can do if you have not presented symptoms yet. Can buy yourself a little insurance and the mental health that comes with it, because it clears out all the mean voices, all the mean girls in your head go away.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oxytocin just
Yeah,
makes those mean girls go bye-bye.
that's right. So I would say that's the first
Oh,
thing. Start taking
yeah.
care of your body in a very direct and tangible way so that you start to
Mhm.
feel results right away. And when you feel those results, you'll be like, okay, more, more, more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Oh, Janet, other than how can people work with you?
Okay. The best way to interact probably right now is my YouTube channel. It's growing fast. And I give lots and lots of healthy longevity advice, directives, suggestions. Help people solve problems there. It's called Aging Strong for Life. So you can either type Janet McConnell in the search bar of YouTube or Aging Strong for Life, and you'll find me there.
We'll put a link in
And
the show
so,
notes too, to the YouTube and the
yes,
book.
yes, and my book. And if you just want to reach out with an email, you can do that. I mean, I have a website, but that's mostly for collecting pitches for me to publicly speak, like to speak on stages. So I use it as
Wonderful.
kind of a repository for people who are interested in hiring me to speak for that. So that's kind of a separate thing. I can provide those 3 links for you guys to put in your show notes.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
So you like to
And
speak, you want to get involved in, you want people to come to your YouTube, and then do you do like one-on-ones? Do you have any programs or anything that people can kind
you
of
do
jump
local,
into?
right?
Yeah, right now I'm physically training people in the Scottsdale, Arizona
Very cool.
area, and
Oh,
and
great.
that's just, but then I do have plans. I'm working, like you heard before, I'm working on the new book, which is Unretired and Unstoppable: Aging Strong is Your New Power Move. I'm going to
Yeah.
have this done, and then I'm going to create an course that goes with that.
Oh,
And the
wow.
book will be kind of the anchor. So that's the future plan. So there will be
I love it.
broader. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
if anybody can do it, Janet, you can.
Yeah.
Thank you. I know I've spent the last year building this YouTube channel, and now I'm like, okay, that's got some momentum to it. Now I'm going
Yeah.
to work on the book and the course. So kind of one thing at a time.
Yeah. Well, good
Wonderful.
for you. That's really hard. I know I've got a
So
million things
cool.
laying in front of me, so it's nice to be like, pace yourself, Laura.
Yeah.
Pace yourself. One
Yeah.
thing
You
at a
can make
time.
yourself. You think about this, I'm the best boss I ever had, but man, I'm a taskmaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cracking the whip, huh?
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, thank you so much for coming by today and sharing your wisdom. I'm so excited to get my hands on this book. And I just, I think this is such a powerful message for all of us, because it does feel like, oh, well, I could, but it's not for me. And you're a wonderful example of how it is for everyone.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you and to talk to you about what I'm passionate about.
Yes. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here. Good stuff.
Thank you so much for listening. We offer personalized support to clients in many ways and would love to work with you. Reach out to Laura at Lala's Wellness and Molly at Women's Gut Health for more information. Unlock your full health and hormone potential with Super Q, Boom Bomb, and Best Tea. Check out the link in the show notes for more. See you next Saturday.